When a fish is bigger than a boat or has more than one mouth, it's worth considering if dreaming about a big catch is a good idea. It might be an alligator caught in your net, a whale that you filmed while it nearly capsized your boat, or a shark that beat you to the prize catch. On the 24th of February, 2021, a family-owned seafood company in Boston, Massachusetts, made a remarkable discovery. Among other catches, they found a rare albino lobster. The chances of this coloration occurring in nature are as slim as winning the worldwide lottery, 1 in 100 million. And although the blonde lobster had only one claw, it seemed to have fared quite well in surviving despite its unusual color, even if it looked like an odd one out in a tank with darker companions. The company shared photos of the rare find on their restaurant's Facebook page, highlighting that in almost 100 years of business, this was the first albino lobster they had ever caught. Catching lobsters itself is an incredible process, as they can appear bright blue, red, and sometimes with unusual pigmentation. Thanks to its extraordinary appearance, this lobster has a chance at a long life. The company plans to donate the unique specimen to the New England Aquarium. Flamingos are supposed to be pink, and occasionally, nature surprises us with bright crimson birds, like the rare Madagascar pigeon, or a mutation making a common gray pigeon appear as if it were stained with paint. However, imagining a bright pink dolphin swimming in the ocean is simply unthinkable. It looks like an inflatable pool toy. Unlike cases with albinism, the coloration of these specimens defies explanation. A group of whale watchers admired them, and it undoubtedly became the highlight of the day on the 23rd of September, 2021. Having never seen such beauty, the entire team and stunned audience decided to get closer and capture the pink dolphins on camera. Otherwise, no one would have believed them. Yes, many witnesses considered themselves incredibly lucky. How often do you get to enjoy such a natural wonder? Even more breathtaking was the presence of ordinary dark gray companions nearby. The contrast made this pod look unrealistically stunning. Have you ever seen dolphins with unusual coloring? Share with us in the comments. Sometimes animals that are not scary in appearance can frighten people with their behavior. Most often, we are unable to communicate and become confused. On the 20th of May, 2016, in Mexico, a group of tourists was enjoying a boat ride and watching a playful pod of dolphins. That is, until one of them miscalculated a jump and ended up on the deck, possibly injuring itself in the process. It immediately tried to leap back into the water but soon realized it was trapped. The shocked people took a while to regain their composure. Firstly, they didn't know how to handle a large, wildly flopping fish. And secondly, most of their hands were occupied with phones. The guides managed to calm the dolphin. They covered its face and carefully lowered it back into the water. A towel had to be sacrificed, but the important thing is that no one, on board or in the water, was harmed. Now let's take a look at fish that can frighten us with their appearance. As far as we know, fish are supposed to live in water and are incapable of surviving elsewhere. This clip seemed to challenge our beliefs. A man was digging through the muddy bottom of a dried-up lake and found, you could say, an enormous catfish buried underground. Holding on to the slippery, muddy body squirming with all its might in your hands is no simple or pleasant task. Almost as challenging as tossing a dolphin off a boat. How did it end up in that mud? This mystery was soon solved. It turned out that during the dry season, catfish burrow underground, where moisture still remains. As soon as the drought ends and the reservoirs fill up again, the hibernation period transitions back to normal life in the water. The catfish comes back to life. We know it's impossible to bring a dead creature back to life, but this fish seems to be an exception. When a pile of fish was found lying on the ground, it appeared they were done for. A man even tried to break off a piece of a fin to make sure the fish was dried out. But as soon as he turned it over and poured water on it, magic happened. It immediately began to move. This fish is known as a plico, or Plecostomus, none other than our beloved aquarium suckerfish. In the wild, they possess the superpower to dry out when water bodies shrink and revive when water returns. Just don't try experimenting with your pets. If something happens, it's unlikely you'd be able to bring them back to life. A fish that huffs like a steam engine. Have you ever seen anything like that? This strange clip circulated around the internet, leaving people puzzled. The fish exhaled a huge cloud of smoke. Could it be smoking itself? Many left humorous comments. If you'd like, you can join in and write what you think about smoking fish. This fish is either a deep-sea dweller or a case of a rare mutation. A team of experienced Russian fishermen was astonished when they caught it and couldn't even identify the species. Its extremely elongated snout, resembling a sword, was apparently used to plow the seabed in search of food. The absolutely transparent eyes hinted at its deep-sea origins. It was probably a case of wrong place, wrong time for the fish, giving us the opportunity to marvel at the diversity of marine life. I wonder if these guys dared to cook it or released it back into the water. This guy was lucky to catch a very unusual fish. He couldn't identify it himself and thus posted a video online asking experts to help figure out what he had caught. Judging by the pointed snout, it seemed to be a sturgeon but of a different species. Its marble-like eyes and curious tubular mouth are not commonly seen. Viewers quickly identified it as a short-nosed sturgeon, a rare North American sturgeon species that is also endangered. In another clip, two fishermen pulled out a similar fish, but this time the sturgeon had purple gills and a thick, sturdy tail. Although it lacks a toothed mouth like a pike, for example, it still seems to put up a fight against human grip. If you look closely, you'll see its eyes amusingly move in sync with its mouth. Nature sometimes makes mistakes, and animals end up with an extra pair of something. Everyone loves a 2-for-1 deal, but if you encounter this on a fishing trip, you might wonder if it's truly a bargain. A fisherman found a fish in his net with 2 mouths and 2 pairs of eyes. The sight of these wide-open jaws was terrifying. When the clip was uploaded online, many commented that the fish underwent a genetic mutation due to water pollution. I'm curious to know what you think about this. Let us know in the comments. We just saw a fish with 2 mouths, but have you ever heard of a fish with 2 heads? It sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie, but this time, it's real. A rare deformity occurs in nature where a fish develops 2 heads on one body. Here's another fish that didn't quite develop its eyes and mouth properly. If such creatures can survive, they certainly deserve a place in the collections of mutant enthusiasts. Reptiles also have their share of misfortunes. This snake resembles a train. It has a head on both ends of its body. A man found this bizarre creature in a murky pond and took it with him. He recognized it as a sand boa, a snake rumored to have 2 faces. Why does it have a face on both ends of its body? Additionally, the boa could control both sides equally. These odd snakes are primarily found on the Asian continent. They love dry, rocky places, so encountering one in your backyard is unlikely. Write what you think about this. Which of the 2 heads is real, and which one serves as a decoy during an attack? Or are they both functional and meant for something? Let's move on to the aggressive behavior of predators, and naturally, we'll start with crocodiles. A man in Hilton Head, South Carolina, filmed a terrifying encounter. The poor guy was trying to fish when an alligator suddenly leapt out of the water and charged at him at full speed. I think at that moment, the unlucky fisherman experienced the scariest seconds of his life. Fortunately, no one was hurt, and the alligator soon returned to the pond. But this is solid proof of how unpredictable reptile behavior can be. Extra caution is necessary in areas where they inhabit. Who would have thought such a swift chase could occur? Apparently, the alligator didn't appreciate someone invading its territory and attempting to steal its food. In another story, a young boy in Florida on his first fishing trip didn't even get to enjoy catching his first fish. An alligator snatched it from him. It, too, made it clear that in this pond, all the fish belong to it. The boy will probably never pick up a fishing rod again. A local man was checking for predators in the water. Initially, he poked the water with a stick. but nothing happened. When the water is even slightly murky, who knows what could be hiding under your boat or near the shore? To be sure, the man threw a rock, and that's when he got a response. A giant crocodile leapt out of the calm water. It was obviously expecting a meaty treat and didn't waste time for clarification. Although this time, the predator swallowed a large portion of air instead, it's still not wise to play games with them, or worse, step into such water. Better safe than sorry. It feels like crocodiles are everywhere. I'm going to start being afraid of swimming in pools soon. Here's another clip where a kayaker recorded his worst nightmare. While enjoying a journey through wild waters, he noticed a disturbance in the distance. Zooming in with his camera, he realized a giant alligator was in the water. Despite the ominous details, the tourist continued paddling closer until a loud splash occurred. The alligator charged at his boat. The video abruptly ends at this moment, leaving us with a sense of unease and uncertainty. Hopefully, since the phone with this footage made it out, the owner is also safe. This scary fish is called the wolf fish, not just because of its dangerous fangs, but also because of the strength of its grip. It clamps down on its prey with deadly force. But if you imagined it savagely tearing apart other fish, you'd be mistaken. The wolf fish, or simply the wolf fish, uses its fangs to crush the shells of mollusks. It's not bloodthirsty. Interestingly, a freshly caught wolffish smells like fresh cucumber. However, when we see it fighting for its life, we forget all the fun facts and would rather stay away from those snapping jaws. The wolffish lives in deep waters and relies more on its fangs than its eyesight, unhesitatingly using its jaws for defense and attack. Its dense white meat with a sweet flavor makes it better suited for encounters in stores, where it arrives frozen or chilled. The ocean sometimes creates such monsters that even the scariest fairy tales have yet to imagine them. Myths about mermaids have existed since the dawn of seafaring, but never before has anyone pulled such a creepy creature out of the ocean. An absolutely abnormal being with an almost human-like midsection and arms but a fish's head and tail. The fishermen were so frightened by it that they tied its hands behind its back just in case. Honestly, I can't figure out how the head transitions into the body, then into the tail. But if you believe such a creature is real, write to us in the comments. If you think it's fake, write that instead. Let's figure it out together. Fishing is a skill learned from childhood, and perhaps some people have better developed hunting instincts. The paddlefish is a freshwater fish from the ray-finned family. If we make an analogy, it's a huge sturgeon, a fairly powerful fish that not everyone can catch with bare hands. Moreover, catching one requires real skill and exceptional bravery. A young woman from Dallas was fishing for catfish when a large paddlefish bit on her bait. After several minutes of hand-to-hand struggle, this young woman managed to hold on to the rare catch with her hands and pull its 40-kilogram body to the surface. This fishing trip turned out to be much more challenging than simply tugging on a fishing rod. But the woman emerged victorious in this honest battle, proving she would undoubtedly be the leader in her family. Maybe this girl is a real-life mermaid? Now let's talk about giants. There's plenty of space in the seas and rivers, allowing true giants to live there. The swordfish is an astonishing creature, and catching one is like engaging in a duel with a cold weapon. During a fishing expedition off the coast of Florida, these guys hit the jackpot, the catch of a lifetime. Their expectations were exceeded when, after a tug on the line, they saw a giant swordfish with a hook in its mouth. With great difficulty, they pulled the massive body aboard and placed it in a container filled with ice to preserve its freshness. On shore, the lucky catch was weighed. The swordfish tipped the scales at 82 kilograms. That evening, they didn't just have dinner, they hosted a genuine fish festival. This Italian fisherman might become the next world record holder. If you think you've seen the largest catfish, take a look at this giant caught in an Italian village on the Po River. It took the man 40 minutes just to pull the giant out. When the catfish was measured, it was nearly 3 meters long. Yes, this catch resembled a world record, but it wasn't officially recorded, simply because after the battle, The fisherman was satisfied with the experience itself and didn't want to take the life of such an extraordinary fish. Who knows how many years this catfish had lived in the river? It's known that catfish can live up to 80 years, feeding on all sorts of things: snails, worms, crustaceans, small fish, and sometimes even birds, rodents, and snakes. So, while it took a lot of effort and he had to swim after his boat, which drifted off with all his belongings, the day was worth it. I also think eating such an enormous fish wouldn't make much sense. What if it's ancient and tastes unpleasant, like mud? Fishing in Florida is not just an adventure, it's a pure gamble. If you go into the ocean alone, you'll likely need quick reflexes and sometimes a knife to cut the line quickly. Otherwise, a large predator might drag you into its territory. This guy accidentally encountered a great white shark. He was already shocked when the shark swam under his kayak, then it performed a circus act, leaping entirely out of the water. Can you imagine what sharks are capable of? Fearing the shark might drag him away, he immediately cut the line, and fortunately, it swam away, unwilling to continue the encounter. Sea giants are far from mindless creatures. They clearly like to mark their territory so that humans know their boundaries. Here's another clip from Queensland, where an Australian fisherman also unexpectedly encountered a great white shark. He was fishing for small fry but found himself in a dramatic situation. The massive shark began circling around him. The man was alone in his tiny boat and was probably terrified. It seems his prayers were heard. The shark left him. But here's an interesting thought. It's said that dogs instinctively sense when someone is afraid of them. So how does fear detection work for sharks? Now we'll see what an unlucky day of fishing looks like in Miami. We know Florida's coastline is teeming with sharks, and it's no laughing matter. The beaches there are lined with nets. But in the fishing zone, there are no restrictions. Whoever catches first gets the prize. This couple's catch was stolen at the last moment by a giant shark. It lunged at the line and snapped it along with a substantial piece of bait. You might ask what happened to the hook, but for a shark's stomach, even a car license plate is no problem. So don't worry about it. This is proof that in the ocean, brute force and efficiency reign supreme. Personally, I'm amazed by the reactions of Miami residents. They weren't terrified at all. The fearsome predator amused them. Sometimes a small fish becomes the center of attention. Perhaps sharks also enjoy fishing as a process and often interfere with it. Apparently, the angler's maneuvers made the prey wriggle so much that it attracted an entire school of sharks. A Florida resident who went out for recreational fishing wasn't used to situations where his catch was claimed by 3 large sharks and didn't anticipate that they'd be quicker. Losing a fish isn't a big deal, but when fishing tackle gets stuck in a shark's mouth, you either cut the line in time or lose your rod, which can be problematic for the shark. If it can't break the line quickly, the hook with bait will dig into it. The main thing is not to fall overboard because events unfold quickly. Perhaps this is the shark's fishing method when hunting humans? Even if you've heard of the oarfish, the ribbon fish, you've probably never encountered such a long ribbon of a fish. In June 2022, an enthralling scene unfolded off the coast of Taiwan. A crowd gathered to see a 6-meter-long ribbon fish weighing over 250 kilograms. However, history records specimens up to 17 meters long, but those are sailors' scary stories. The oarfish is listed in the Guinness World Records as the longest bony fish alive. It's silver like a herring, with a crest-like fin on its head resembling a crown, which explains the name. It was often seen among herring schools. Both in Asian folklore and scientific opinion, the appearance of this deep-sea dweller near the shores doesn't bode well, hinting at both mystical omens of disasters and environmental issues in the deep-sea waters. Biologists conducting research in the Mediterranean Sea made an unusual discovery. They caught a giant 2-meter-long sunfish weighing more than their scales could measure in a tuna net. To transport such a massive fish anywhere, they definitely need a bigger boat. This fisherman in Thailand was ready to boast about a fantastic catch. As it turned out, the fish weighed 135 kilograms. But to make history, he had to work hard. Imagine trying to haul such a monster onto a boat by yourself. You could easily switch places with the fish. The enormous fish nearly capsized the boat, but the fisherman didn't give up and finally managed to drag it on board. Hopefully, he made it back to shore despite losing his paddle during the tug of war. The giant stingray resembles an alien spaceship or a demonic creature from myths. A group of fishermen caught a stingray weighing almost 750 kilograms off the coast of India in Karnataka state. In total, they caught 2 manta rays. The second one was smaller, but still weighed 230 kilograms. The fishermen were thrilled with their catch, although they had to bring in a crane to pull the massive bodies ashore. These majestic animals are also called devilfish. Their appearance certainly matches the name, but this species is entirely harmless to humans. Manta rays have neither venomous nor electric stingers. Let's not forget that fishing for size or entertainment harms wildlife. For food, an ordinary fish would probably suffice. Fishermen in Indonesia discovered a mysterious foam-like mass in the water. It was dense enough to be cut with a knife. Initially, they assumed it was the body of a marine animal, but how surprised they were to learn their find was worth millions of dollars. You'll be amazed too when I tell you they found a massive portion of ambergris, which is used by perfumeries to make the most expensive perfumes. Essentially, it's a product of a whale's digestive tract, specifically a regurgitated mass. Before you feel nauseous, let me clarify that ambergris is used as a fragrance fixative in perfumery. Initially, it smells unpleasant, but after drying, it acquires a lasting sweet scent. Art demands sacrifices. Now you know how perfumes are made. Here's another treasure floating in the water. Imagine a goldfish the size of a plump piglet. That's precisely what a Brit caught in a local lake. He set a world record for catching the largest goldfish. It was 100 times bigger than the ones we're used to in aquariums and weighed nearly 30 kilograms. It's not easy to hold such a load. In reality, this fish is a hybrid leather carp, not a decorative mutant. Although its bright color is mesmerizing, after photographing his catch, the hobbyist fisherman released the fish back into the lake. Maybe he hoped it would grant him the greatest wish of his life in return. Aquatic creatures are so diverse. Some dazzle with beauty, while others shock with monstrous appearances and gigantic size. Often, fishermen have no idea what they've caught. During a fishing trip on the Congo River, as the team was pulling in the net, their faces showed utter amazement. At one point, their net became so heavy they needed extra help. When the creature surfaced, no one could identify what they had caught. The massive size and frightening pattern of its scales made it seem like they had caught not a fish but some river monster. I don't know if dragons are eaten in the Congo or if the team felt like taking such a catch home. An unknown creature turned a Canadian kayaker's trip on Lake Ontario into a nightmare. He nearly had a heart attack when he encountered a living myth in the water. Near his boat, strange ridges resembling a serpentine creature appeared on the surface, swimming underwater. It's unclear if the man froze in terror or, on the contrary, felt compelled to paddle closer to take a better look, but the creature suddenly vanished. Of course, the thought crossed his mind that a mythical lake serpent had come to life, but it's easy for us to judge while sitting at home and not paddling alone in the middle of the lake, with eerie shapes nearby. It's also possible this is nothing more than a hoax or a peculiar play of waves on the lake. It's time for some amusing stories. Enough of the horrors for today. Now we'll show you an unknown creature. I swear, you've never seen anything like this before. This clip shocked the internet. Even the fisherman himself couldn't explain what he brought home. Out of curiosity, the creature was placed in water, but this didn't clarify the situation. Who are we looking at? A fish, a reptile, or a mammal? Its head seems too large for its small, snake-like body. Overall, this creature looks like an anomaly. However, since the clip made its way online, someone commented that the animal resembled a pangolin, a type of scaly mammal whose name means it can roll into a ball. And this beauty probably doesn't leave a repulsive impression. What do you think? Write to us about your impressions of this unusual creature. A creepy frog resembling an inflated medical glove. not something we're used to seeing during wet summer weather. The African clawed frog is a very strange creature, and steroids have nothing to do with it. It usually looks quite ordinary, but nature has given this species a special defense mechanism. When a predator appears, they inflate themselves with accumulated body fluid, turning into a bubble. What we have here is an albino specimen, giving it a somewhat cartoonish appearance. Look at its clawed feet. Don't they seem enough to scare off any predator? It's not that this suckerfish is a parasite just because it sticks to others. Instead, it serves as their cleaning crew. The evolution of species has created many survival tactics. A group of fishermen was hoping for a decent catch, but so far, they only caught a remora, also known as a suckerfish, and got entertained by it as if it were a toy. It started attaching itself to various surfaces. Each participant in the fishing trip had a chance to feel like a big predator, a shark, or a whale. What happens if you cross a carrot with a leopard? Correct, a comic. But seriously, this strange carrotfish was discovered among young fry at a nursery in Florida. It was placed in a separate tank for closer observation. Generally, the body structure of this fish strongly resembles a needlefish or garfish, but its coloration is utterly unimaginable. The researcher was convinced this specimen underwent a genetic mutation, and the chances of such a fish surviving in the wild are 1 in 10,000. Imagine, all the predators would go after it like a bull to a red rag. Understanding that this case is exceptionally rare, a fish with an orange head, a shiny belly, and a leopard-like pattern, it could become an attractive exhibit for nursery visitors. The man decided to keep it in a separate tank to see if it could grow to adulthood in a safe environment. Thank you very much for watching this video. Give us a like and share it with your friends. Also, subscribe to the channel and click the bell icon so you don't miss any of our next amazing videos. Links will now appear on the screen, and I look forward to seeing you again.